3 years LLB, 5th semesters, unit wise most important questions. In my YouTube channel, many of the students have been requested for to get unit wise important topics or important questions. Many of the students have been raised this, so that is the reason today I am going to give very informative information relating to the 3 years LLB 5th semesters, each unit wise what are the probability questions may asked in the university examinations. Hi everyone, I am Anil Kumar, motivational speaker. Today I am here with to speak about 3 years LLB 5th semesters most important questions for each topics which you have: company law, interpretation of statutes, intellectual property rights, and one more, civil procedure code 1908. So I would like to start with company law. Most important questions, because in this at present the KSLU has been amended to give the questions unit wise. Earlier it was you will have 20 questions, among you have to write 10 questions, whereas now also the same. The thing is that you have to attend each units will have 4 questions, 10 marks questions 2 questions, 6 marks questions 2 questions. Among 4 questions you have to write 2 questions. So that is how it is now. So on the basis of present situation, I have found very important questions of each topics. I would like to mention and I would like to tell in this video so that you can able to prepare for your upcoming LLB examinations. Before that, I would like to tell all my students or friends, so please do subscribe my channel Anil Kumar KT, so that you will notified very good videos pertains to your 3 years LLB and 5 years LLB, academics related to examinations, related to KSLU such notifications. So why you need to subscribe this channel? Because I do a lot of efforts for you students, so little your motivations, little your encouragement, I can give many of the videos more and more like this. So I would like to start 3 years LLB 5th semesters most important questions for your examination point, that too upcoming LLB examination for the year 2022 April and May. We'll start with company law. Company law first unit, you will have questions kinds of company. You have to read corporate personality, and you have to read lifting of corporate veil. The next is promoters duties, liabilities, and liabilities of promoters. So we will have 4 topics which you need to touch in the first topic or first unit. You have to study about kinds of company, you have to study about corporate personality, you have to study about lifting of corporate veil. The next is promoters duties and liabilities of promoters. These are the main topics which you need to cover in the first unit. We'll come to the second unit called, you have to touch doctrine of indoor management. This is mandatory questions. They will ask doctrine of indoor management and memorandum of association, what do you call MOA. There are 2 topics which you need to study about very well about in the unit 2. We'll come to the unit 3. You have to study about directors, appointment, types and powers and duties of director. This is the very much mandatory question they will ask for 10 marks question or 6 marks questions. Directors, appointment, types and powers and duties of director. So next is kinds of meetings. Prevention of operation management. In the unit 3 there are 3 topics which you need to touch mandatorily: directors, appointment, types and powers of duties of director. Next is kinds of meetings. Then next is prevention of operation management. We'll come to the unit 4. Unit 4 we need to study about shares and rights and privileges of shareholders. The next is dividends, prohibition of buyback and debentures. We need to study thoroughly about shares, rights and privileges of shareholders, dividends, prohibition of buyback and debentures. Next we'll come to the unit 5, modes of winding up, procedure, different modes of winding up. We have to touch up 3. One is modes of winding up, procedure for different modes of winding up. The next second subject is Civil Procedure Code. If we talk about Civil Procedure Code 1908, we will have 5 units, as you all know. Unit 1, we have to study mandatorily kinds of jurisdiction, transfer of cases, doctrine of res sub judicata, then foreign judgment. You have to mandatorily study about 4 topics, that is kinds of jurisdiction, transfer of cases, doctrine of res sub judicata and foreign judgment. We'll come to the second topic, second unit. You have to study about institution of suits, general rules of pleading, joinder, misjoinder and non-joinder. We have to study about, there are 3 topics which you need to focus on your upcoming LLB examination, that is institution of suits, general rules of pleading, joinder, misjoinder and non-joinder. You will have questions. For 4 questions you will have 10 marks 2 and 6 marks 2. Among you have to write 1 question. 1 question from 10 marks and 1 question from 6 marks. We'll come to the unit 3. You have to touch discovery, inspection and production of documents. This is very important questions. From this you will have 1 question. Then framing of issue. Framing of issue is also very important question. Adjournment, general principle of execution, modes of execution. We will have 5 topics we have to cover from the unit 3, that is called discovery, inspection and production of documents, framing of issues, adjournment, general principle of execution, modes of execution. My dear friends, why I am repeating more and more? Because you have to note it down, because this is very important questions. You have to touch up at least minimum topics so that you can write very easily in the upcoming LLB examination. That is what I am discussing in this video. My dear friends, repeatedly I am speaking about the topics, because you have to write and you have to note down the each topics. Then you will come to unit 4, suits by or against firm. Suits by or against firm, this is very important. Suits by indigent persons, interpleader suits, temporary injunctions, reference, caveat. These are the main topics. Once again I would like to repeat for you all to note down: suits by or against firm, suits by indigent persons, interpleader suits, temporary injunctions, reference and caveat. These are the main important topics. If you come into the unit 5, Limitation Act 1963, you have to study at least half of the Limitation Act 1963 so that you can write 10 marks question and 6 marks question. Please don't neglect. This is a Limitation Act, you can skip that. You cannot skip because you have to mandatorily attend for 2 questions. One is 10 marks questions and one is 6 marks question. Then we'll come to the next subject called Intellectual Property Rights 1. So in this unit, we need to study unit 1, different forms of intellectual property, rights and obligation of patentee, infringement of patents, salient features of Patent Act, specification from this provisional and complete specification. So once again I would like to repeat different forms of intellectual property, rights and obligations of patentee, infringement of patents, silent features of Patent Act, specification, provisional, and from that provisional and complete specification. You have to touch these topics. If we come to the unit 2, features of good trademarks, different forms of trademarks, basic principle of registration of trademark, passing of infringement of trademark. You have to specifically study about 5 topics from unit 2, features of good trademarks, different forms of trademarks, basic principle of registration of trademark, passing of infringement of trademarks. So these are the very mandatorily topics we need to study about. Unit will come to the unit 3. From the unit 3, data protection in cyberspace, salient features of Information Technology Act, Internet policy of Government of India, trademarks issues related to internet. You have to study 4 topics from the unit 3. One is data protection in cyberspace, salient features of Information Technology Act, Internet policy of Government of India, trademarks issues related and internet. If you come into the 4th unit, we have to touch with some topics that I would like to tell now. Salient features of the Protection of Geographical Indication Act. Once again, salient features of the Protection of Geographical Indication Act. Infringement remedies against infringement. Important geographical indications. Role and functions of register of geographical indications. These are the 4 topics which you need to cover in the intellectual property rights 1. The next, unit 5. From unit 5 you have to touch up, you have to study mandatorily salient features of Paris Convention, salient features of PCT, what you call Patent Cooperation Treaty, salient features of Madrid Convention, salient feature of WIPO, WIPO. There are 4 topics which you need to cover in the 5th unit. Salient features of Paris Convention, salient features of PCT, salient features of Madrid Convention, salient features of WIPO. You will get from these questions. Next we'll come to the final subject, what you call interpretation of statute. From the interpretation of statute, we will have 5 units. In unit 1, you have to mandatorily study about interpretation of directory and mandatory provisions. Interpretation of directory and mandatory provisions. Purpose of interpretation of statutes. Purpose of interpretation of statutes. Restrictive and beneficial statutes. There are 3 topics which you need to cover in very keenly. That unit 1, from unit 1, interpretation of directory and mandatory provisions, purpose of interpretation of statutes, restrictive and beneficial of statutes. So you have to mandatorily study about. From coming to the unit 2, you will have 2 topics from there, internal aids, external aids. From there you can get in all topics. From internal aids also you will get it, and external aids also will get it for 6 marks question and 10 marks questions. Then we will next coming to the unit 3. Unit 3, rules of interpretation of statutes. This is very important question. Then hidden case is very important. Then next is ejusdem generis. Ejusdem generis is the concept I can able to explain in the another video. So if you have doubt, hidden case is very important, and ejusdem and generis principle of constitutional interpretation. Principle of constitution interpretation. Then next we'll come into the fourth unit. You have to study about mainly statutes or territorial in operation. Statutes or territorial in operation. It is very important question. Presumption as to jurisdiction. Presumption as to a jurisdiction. Presumption against, intending justice. There are three topics which you need to cover very specifically in the unit 4, that is statutes are territorial in operation, presumption as jurisdiction, presumptions against intending justice. Next we'll come into the fifth unit, principle of utility, principle of legislation, lawmaking, executive and the judiciary. In the unit 5 there are three topics which you need to cover very well, that is principle of utility, principle of legislation, lawmaking, execution and the judiciary. These are the main topics which you need to cover for the upcoming LLB examinations. I have created most important questions. Specifically I have created playlist in the YouTube, so that if you go through the playlist, most important questions, most expected questions for 3 years LLB 5th semesters, you can able to go through my channel, and even you can get the most important question which I have told right now. The questions also can able to find very easily, and you can make it those answer for the upcoming LLB examinations, so that you can score very good marks in the LLB examinations. My dear friends, LLB is not easy. You have to do a lot of efforts. You have to sacrifice lot many things in your life. I wish you all the best for your upcoming LLB examination. Once again, I would like to introduction myself Anil Kumar Ketty, LLB coach and motivational speaker. Please do subscribe my channel so that you will notified very good videos like this. Thank you.